Welcome back to Cape Critiquers. This week we are reviewing the groundbreaking film Xmen from 2000. Directed by Bryan Singer and featuring an ensemble cast including Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and Ian McKellen, this movie marked a pivotal moment in the evolution of comic book adaptations. Released at the dawn of the 21st century, X-Men revitalized the superhero genre and set the stage for the modern era of comic book films. While Blade from 1998 had already shown that the comic book adaptations could succeed, X-Men took these concepts a step further by introducing audiences to a nuanced portrayal of mutant superheroes, addressing themes of prejudice, identity, and acceptance. The film's success demonstrated that comic book adaptations could be a more serious, character-driven narrative, paving the way for future franchises like Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, or even the MCU. By blending action, drama, and social commentary, X-Men transcended its source material and made a lasting impact on both cinema and popular culture. Some of the topics we'll be discussing in this episode are as follows: the film's production and development, character analysis and performances, the movie's visual effects and action sequences, its themes and societal implications, the legacy of the X-Men in the superhero and comic book genre, and our personal critiques and favorite moments from the film. So sit back, relax, and join us as we review the film that kicked off the modern superhero era, X-Men 2000. Welcome back to Cape Critiquers, everybody. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and leave a like underneath this video, because it really helps with how it performs in YouTube's algorithm. Today, we will be discussing X-Men from 2000, starting off our Deadpool and Wolverine countdown.
Yay!
Woo!
And a shout out, happy birthday,
Happy
James!
birthday, James!
Thank you.
X-Men birthday.
Yes, but we couldn't have you come to Cape Critiquers empty-handed, so Jack, there's something behind you.
Oh,
So Weapon X is what you'll be leaving with today.
Oh, wow. Thank you. That's cool.
and he
Of course, if you guys didn't know, I'm a huge Wolverine fan, so.
We have some news today, yeah?
So a Vision Disney Plus series is reportedly set to release in 2026.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Hopefully finally getting what happened to White Vision.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're going to introduce Vision's family,
I don't know.
like Viv and whatever the other kids
I honestly did not know that was a thing.
You didn't know about that?
No.
He makes like robot kids?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that
I
either.
didn't
But
know that.
I have to say, he became like one of my top characters after watching WandaVision. You know, I liked him and all the other stuff, but then it just came full circle for me. And
Yeah.
so I'm looking forward
Apparently,
to
like, the Avengers comic where he debuts is supposed to be really good.
that. Mm-hmm. Wow, I'll
I-
have to check it
I
out.
was kind of sad that, they made him go away because
Mhm.
he was technically one of the most powerful Avengers.
Yeah.
you
and
know.
one of the nicest.
And, yeah, one of the most truly
Yeah,
virtuous anyway. Yeah.
exactly.
I've been seeing people say that we might see Ultron return in the show.
Okay.
I really want him to return because
Yeah.
he was cool. He's a really, really cool character.
Yeah.
We talked about this in the Spider-Verse news, but X-Men movie has reportedly chosen a writer, Michael Leslie, who did Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes,
Mhm.
as its writer. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think that movie was like particularly awesome in any
Mhm.
way.
I didn't watch it.
I mean, I watched like a video just critiquing it and how like the motivations just didn't make sense at all. So
It's a prequel about like
just Hunger Games.
characters
Yeah.
that we
Isn't it like the founding of Hunger Games or whatever?
not like kinda, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they would pick this guy out of everyone.
They also want like the directing group that did that Batgirl movie to direct like the next Spider-Man movie apparently.
It's weird.
Yeah. So
The Batgirl movie that never came
yeah.
out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Interesting choices we got here.
Yeah.
So Ryan Reynolds has confirmed that Rob McElhenney will have a cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, we were discussing that a bit yesterday. He pops up like on set at Deadpool in the Welcome to Wrexham show.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah. I think he's playing a TVA agent because you can kind of see like orange underneath his jacket.
I'm actually kind of hoping he's playing Mac from So He's Sunny.
That would be so
That
good.
would be hilarious.
if he
Like,
was just Matt.
It's a
It's just
Fox
Mac.
show, so
Yeah.
they have rights to it, I guess.
That'd be great. So Giancarlo Esposito gave us a little update on his new, or not new, but original character that he'll be playing in the MCU. And this update makes me think now that it's not like an original character. It's more just like something we haven't seen yet.
Okay.
As far as like Marvel lore goes. And he said, the MCU has knocked on my door and it's a role you won't predict. It will be teased and then there will be a series afterwards.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like, I guess that's also confirming he won't be like some one-off villain or something.
Okay.
And he's getting his own series at some
Yes.
point.
And I'm
I still
assuming
feel like
on
that could be like Doom or something.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it's
Pretty
got to be some
substantial
kind of
character,
yeah.
yeah.
I was going to say
Yeah.
it's got to be a character the fan base knows.
The one that I've seen people saying is Blue Marvel.
Mm.
Blue Marvel.
Marvel.
Yeah.
Who's that?
He's like a scientist,
It's
a
kind of
veteran.
just like Superman, really.
Yeah, he's kind of just black Superman.
Okay.
I thought Idris Elba was that.
He is in real life.
In Hobbs and Shaw.
In real life.
Yeah.
Remember that line in Hobbs and Shaw? He's like, I'm Black Superman.
Yeah.
That reminds me of the Anthony Mackie Tupac line. You ever seen that? Where he's like, I'm Tupac, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Damon Lindelof, the writer of Lost, The Leftovers, and Watchmen, and Chris Mundy, Ozark, are writing the Lantern series for DC.
It's going to be live action or
I think
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Is Ryan Reynolds the director of this? Or, I just want to make sure.
No, unfortunately.
you know
not.
he hated that movie, but I don't. To me, Madam Web was 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Oh, no
Yeah,
doubt.
Madam Web
no
was-
doubt.
Oh
No,
my
I'm
God.
just saying.
I
I,
mean, like,
didn't find it as
Green
like a
Lantern
horrible
has like
movie.
superheroing in it at least, so.
Yeah.
But if this is like as half as good as Leftovers, I'll be happy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's been described as like a true detective in space.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And
Intriguing.
Chris Mundy did 2 of the worst episodes of True Detective, I was telling AJ, so yeah. Hopefully he doesn't bring that over, I guess.
yeah. In concept, though, it sounds like something I'll like.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to our X-Men 2000 review.
So first up, I thought the way that like prejudice was handled in this was more so like closest to like how like black people have suffered in America
Sure.
and all that.
Mhm.
And it feels like that's like kind of all they were going for.
I think that's been an underlying storyline for any mutant
Yeah.
comic book or whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely just
and
like
I could-
minority rights.
Yeah, and I could almost understand this world being like that.
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, if you swap out powers for like just these people are violent or whatever like reason you want to give,
Yeah.
it's just like the same racist.
Yeah.
reasoning.
Even
Yeah.
more basic, they're different than I am.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So people either fear something that's different or hate something that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even in the modern day opening scene, you know, where you see Logan up north in Canada,
Mhm.
and they find out that he's actually a mutant, and they put the shotgun to his head and all. That was like straight prejudice,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Such a beautiful scene, though.
Oh, it was a great scene. That was a good
Yeah.
opening scene.
On the flip side of that, though, I feel like the introspective part of like being a mutant wasn't really handled that well. Just like self-identity and all that, and like acceptance.
Mhm.
Well,
you know?
what about Rogue?
mean,
I thought
yeah.
she had a little bit of.
That's like kind of the only part they have, though, and I just
That-
feel
that's-
like
there should
it
be
wasn't
more.
like handled that well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know?
it's interesting to like try and get that whole point across through one character
Right.
that isn't even technically the main character.
It's a big message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To try and.
But the way it was handled is like just having no information and having her first period. You know, it's like, I'm bleeding. What the hell's going on? It's
That's
like,
actually
yeah,
not
that's-
like a terrible way to
Yeah.
put it, because
But
they
it's
even
kind of,
like
yeah.
talked about like how the powers come out like in puberty.
Right.
Well, that's sort of
Right.
so she became a woman, I guess, that day.
Yeah, maybe.
You know?
Yeah, but just like it does tie back to like what Jack was saying with like discovering identity and being comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the first time I saw this movie that I really liked her as an actress, but I don't know.
It's a
I
bit
thought I
stiff.
liked
She wasn't fantastic.
what I liked
in it.
most about her was her accent in this. You know,
Yeah.
it was just a good
Yeah.
accent. So.
I agree with that.
And she's got a certain look
Yeah.
about her. You
Yeah.
know, facial expression, whatever. She kind of.
They definitely captured like the
Well, she was the it
Cajun,
girl for
I
a
think
while
it
too.
was.
the like
Yeah.
because like Rogue is like disowned by her parents. So like they kind of captured that aspect of it, like Girl on the Run type
Yeah.
of Rogue.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if they really captured like Southern Belle Rogue too
Yeah.
great.
No, but and that was the theme through the whole movie. Are you on the run again?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
So
You know how difficult that is, though, from a mutant,
Yeah.
being a mutant, knowing you have these powers and coming across people that just hate you
Mm-hmm.
for no reason.
Even
you
your
did nothing
parents,
to them, and knowing like like even Wolverine in the bar scene.
Yeah,
I mean, he could have killed the entire bar if he was everything these people thought he was.
Yeah.
exactly.
But yet he uses the restraint. Yeah, I'm going to teach you a lesson, but
Yeah.
you know,
But that's his whole thing. He's angry at being what he is. You know? I mean, he's drinking, he's smoking, he's fighting in bars to make money. You know? He's just an angry person, but he's not angry at others per
in a
se.
sociopathic
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
He just like knows that like something was done to him, and he has no idea who did it or why.
Yeah.
I do think he is like kind of the quintessential like Wolverine, though. You know,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
it's pretty similar to the comics, other than like height.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I just realized if he was Berserker Wolverine, he would have ripped everyone apart.
No
Yeah.
doubt.
Yeah, I mean, but go any of the mutants with
Yeah.
their powers.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
honestly, it'd be hard for me as a human coming across people that want to give me shit and not say, "Oh yeah, really? All right, you know, I'd
Yeah.
throw your asses and
Yeah, if you have those abilities, yeah, I'm sure you have the urge to, you know, go fuck yourself.
but they
Yeah.
don't.
And
you
they
know,
even kind of like dive a bit deeper into this in some of the later movies.
yeah.
Because they have, I think the third one is all about like the mutant cure.
Yep, which is the one I watched
yeah.
instead of this one.
Yeah.
But you know, it sets
Still a
up
solid
perfectly the Professor X and Magneto
Yeah.
opposites, the polar opposites,
Yeah.
because you can understand where they're both coming from. You know, the one guy that says we need these powers to protect the world,
Yeah.
regardless of what they think of us, and the other guy saying these people hate us. Screw them. Let's run this world.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree with you 100%. The only thing is I feel like in this movie they just didn't just like go into that enough with
Right.
Magneto.
Right.
I feel like Magneto's like bad in this movie just to be bad. He's kind of
Right.
just like too like a psycho.
Yeah, I
like the
think
only-
I think they really dive into that in the third movie, where that's where we see what Magneto's intentions really are.
Yeah. Cuz
Sorry, go ahead.
Magneto I feel like should be the ultimate character where it's like, yeah, he's the bad guy, but you could totally side with him.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I feel like the only thing they had going for it was like the cycle of violence thing. So
Yeah.
Yeah. But then being their first presentation to the people, you want to show a bad guy and his powers. You know.
Yeah.
I think get the fans going. Wow, that was pretty good, and then try and build who he is.
The
and,
backstory, yeah.
you know.
I just think my issue with this is that there's like no dynamic characters really. Like two people make a change, and I feel like it's only like Wolverine and Rogue.
Yeah,
Right.
and like Wolverine's is like kind of weird because he's like, even the scene where he's like Cyclops, Storm, Wheels.
Yeah.
It's like coming from a guy that self-proclaims himself as the Wolverine.
Right.
Like, what do you literally go by a nickname as well.
Yeah.
So his like overarching change into accepting like mutants is so
It's
almost like
also-
convoluted.
It's also like completely dependent on Rogue, I feel like, because like the reason he makes that change is because like he's like, I guess if Rogue can stay here, then I can too.
Yeah.
You know, because I guess like they're weirdly linked.
Yeah, I don't love their relationship in this movie at all.
I kind of like how Rogue like has bits and pieces of like Wolverine's memory after.
No,
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The touches.
Up there, absorbing his powers.
I have to back to Magneto. I think that the acting casting was fantastic.
Oh, Ian McKellen,
Ian McKellen
and
was
Patrick
fantastic.
Stewart
Yeah,
are
Exactly.
easily my two favorite performances in this movie.
Amazing.
Ian McKellen was like one of the first people like even involved in this.
Really?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he was like the first
Yeah,
actor cast.
he's a fantastic Magneto.
Yeah.
Just the
I
accent.
don't know if he's my favorite Magneto,
the
but
stature.
he's very good.
Yeah.
I might.
I think the acting's probably my favorite, but not like the characterization. You know.
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
could
think
agree
that's
with that.
fair.
I think anytime you could put two best buds in
Yeah.
the same movie, they automatically play off each other.
Well, that's true
Yeah.
because
better.
they were really
They're
great friends going back
a long time.
for
Yeah,
like 100
Oh,
years.
yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I
Long,
forgot
long
about
time.
that.
They still are. You know.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
great chemistry in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was a good casting.
Yeah.
That was really good.
But I do like a part of me like thinks of what was happening in like the behind the scenes. So when Sir Ian McKellen saw the helmet, he's, oh, wonderful helmet, wonderful.
Yeah.
I could
think-
just picture it.
I think behind the scenes they were all.
They could have been. Yeah.
Ian McKellen does portray Magneto as
Um,
a sassy gay
Yes.
magnetism. So
the
Which
way
is
he
fun.
dresses is
Yeah.
fabulous.
Yeah.
Which is
Anyway.
that's fine though. It works.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Magneto's
Yeah.
definitely like bisexual
Oh,
for sure.
100%.
The problem is, do you have the balls to say you gay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you.
Yeah. No.
I mean, in the comics, like I always felt like Magneto and Charles were like meant to be together.
Mhm.
That's at least what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
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 They have such a bromance.
Mm-hmm.
So
I was speaking about how there were 2 dynamic characters, but there's actually 3. And my favorite of like all the characters in this is probably the senator.
Senator Kelly.
Yeah.
Senator Kelly.
Yeah, so they do to him, Magneto does to him basically what they did to Senator Geary in The Godfather. You know, we can't get you
Okay.
to say or do what we want to, but now we're gonna, so they didn't
Now we're gonna mutate you and turn you into water.
exactly. See, I don't think he was supposed to die because then she had to play him in. They wanted him to sort of flip and be the
he
voice
wasn't
on the
supposed
inside.
to die, but the
Yeah.
point was like Magneto didn't realize his machine.
Yeah.
It ultimately kills people.
Right.
He thought it just mutates them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like a thing from the comics, also.
Yeah, I mean, like, if there were a machine that could, like, do that, then, like, it would have been so convoluted. And just, like...
Well, it's like he tries to do it in the comics. Like, he, like, blows up the X-Mansion and then, like, breaks into the lab and then just starts. He's like, I can control every demon.
I just mean, like, the mental gymnastics you would have to go through to make it seem like... it's actually... You shouldn't be a mutant because it's our thing or whatever, you know? Like, you just really couldn't explain it well. So I guess they just had to go with it has to kill them. Yeah. But I just felt like the one part I didn't like about him is how he died. Just because, like, I feel like that isn't really going to have that much impact.
He's just turning into water on
Yeah,
that bed.
basically.
Yeah.
Became a puddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's melting.
But even just, like, Storm, like...
Storm,
Yeah.
The way she
is
ran
so
out.
underwritten in this
Yeah.
movie. Like, so bad.
right.
Apparently she, like, I think all her voice lines are, like, redone. Because originally she did it in, like, a South
Oh,
African
really?
accent. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So...
But she was better in other movies in this series.
Kind of feel like she just, like, never has anything to do, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I think they underutilize her powers.
Well, she
so
was
much.
greatly underpowered
Yeah.
Yeah.
in this, for her first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I loved her, though. I mean, to me, she's my Storm.
Yeah.
You know,
I think she
go-
portrays her very well. It's
Yeah.
just, like, they didn't give her any lines.
Yeah, they had the
Yeah.
look and
Well,
everything.
they
like
gave
you
her
said,
a line.
Oh.
A great line.
One line that is maybe the worst line ever.
Very Joss Whedon.
You know what happens to a toad when it
Yeah,
gets
that
struck
was
by lightning?
kind
That
of
was-
awkward,
that
right?
was-
It's
Yeah.
definitely one of the worst lines ever written for a superhero movie.
Like, just like everything else.
Yeah.
Joss Whedon like went over this movie. Like I think he did all the X-Men movies just like a rewrite kind of because he was just like the guy that you would go to for like rewrites and
Right.
stuff. But yeah, you can definitely tell like when his quips and all that are in this.
Mhm.
So, and I think X3 is like based off the comic that he wrote. So
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
it's weird that like if he weren't like a weirdo, he probably would have directed his own like X-Men movie.
I wish he did, considering Bryan Singer turned out to be a piece of shit.
What did you think of the other like actors and everything?
I was going to say I think Hugh Jackman's probably like the only other one
Yeah.
doing a good job.
Yeah, that's what
He
I
stepped
thought.
into this role and embraced it. I mean, he looked even this far back. He was cut. He was built.
Yeah.
He had the character in him. It was amazing. I just
You know
think
who
he
got him
became-
this role?
No,
Russell Crowe.
really.
Really?
Yeah.
They originally wanted Russell Crowe
Mhm.
Wow.
to be
And
Wolverine.
then they almost got the villain from Mission Impossible 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, whoever that is now, but
Yeah.
just funny like how that guy ruined his career by not picking Wolverine.
Yeah, I agree. I think Hugh Jackman was acting like he had franchise in his head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think so.
Like, this ain't one shot for me, man.
No.
I want this to go.
And then
Yeah.
he turns out to be the longest running actor in a
Yeah.
superhero role.
But
Absolutely.
I also think that this goes back a long time, but I think that he attributes it to him being in shape because he just worked out so much to this and then just took to working out.
yeah.
The guy is just, I mean, how old is he now? And he's fantastic.
60 about?
Is he about
He's
60?
60.
So he's like my age, and he's cut like he's 30.
Yeah.
You know, God
I mean,
bless him.
he's definitely on.
You think so?
steroid. Definitely. Like,
Yeah.
Come on.
At this point, you have to be if you're going to
Yeah.
look like a superhero.
I'd
Yeah.
like to think it's all natural because I mean the
I
guy
mean,
it never is.
talks
No.
a big,
Yeah, even Chris
talks
Evans.
a big talk when he's out there about eating well and all that
I'm
stuff.
sure he does, but
Mhm.
you're not going to look the way he does at his age.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Without
I
steroids.
watch the videos where he's working, especially for this
Yeah, he
new
does some
movie.
serious- like, he's doing Mark Wahlberg
You can see
workouts.
he's
Mark
genuinely.
Wahlberg's on steroids too.
Oh, okay.
You can see he's genuinely in fucking pain
Oh yeah.
while doing these workouts, and I really do. I
He is
wanna
also an actor.
believe- Yeah, he's also. That's true. Just, okay, we're done.
Yeah. No, I mean,
I-
I just think that like every one of these actors to some extent is on
I'm sure.
something
I'm sure they
to
do.
gain
But,
mass.
but
Just
for,
like all the big ones are on Ozempic.
I gotta agree,
Yeah.
and I hate saying it because I love
Yeah.
Hugh Jackman, but I agree. I think he does the healthy thing and everything, but I
Yeah.
think when you reach a certain age,
Yeah.
at some point you're not going to develop your muscles
yeah.
the way.
And that's
the
what
way
it
they
is.
show.
You know, it's a part of the
muscle
business.
development.
I don't think he's, you know,
I mean,
lying
look-
to anybody.
Look at no one. They're not even going to know who this is, but Jack LaLanne.
Oh, yeah.
Now
But-
there was a guy I say straight up from the day he was born to the day he died, just did healthy, and he still couldn't bulk up, you know, like a superhero guy. He looked super fit, and he was probably strong as hell. But
was he like
didn't
80
look
years old? The guy was still pulling trains.
pulling trains? Yeah, yeah.
That's the biggest lie of like the bodybuilding community.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, you look at like someone like The Rock and he's promoting like, oh, you know, my cheat day is protein pancakes.
Yeah.
I eat so and like, yeah, he definitely does. But The Rock is 100% on steroids.
Yeah, well, I have to say, since he rejoined the wrestling
wrestling?
community, I mean, the guy was like regular, and then all of a sudden his
Exploded.
arms are like this
Yeah.
again.
I mean,
you know?
even
so
like for
something's
his
going on
acting
there.
career, he's just
Yeah.
humongous.
Yeah, Hugh Jackman was definitely like, the only one I liked. I feel like a lot of it though was just like
The writing.
the
Yeah.
writing and all the quips and all that.
Well, these movies are very Wolverine centric, which I can't blame them because these like the first blockbuster superhero movies, and like I guess you would pick the character that's the most popular to go with as your main guy.
Yeah, you want to carry your fan base to the next movie
Yeah.
and the next movie.
I have to say, the opening scene, the Poland scene, Auschwitz, whatever it was, I mean, that was just, it was stirring. It looked so real. They had to film this in Poland.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, it
It
was
looks
just
good,
so
though, yeah.
real. It was, you know, because the special effects in this weren't that good,
Yeah.
you know.
I'll say that I thought
for the time.
for like the most part they were actually not too bad. There is one that sticks out in my head.
Yeah, I don't know.
think
When it's invisible, it's pretty invisible, I'd say.
Yeah.
But like Mystique, I fucking that was horrible.
That was
Really?
horrible.
I
Yeah,
didn't
have to
think
Just like
agree.
whenever
Yeah.
they showed her eyes, especially.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Her
Like
eyes.
on the senator.
We're gonna get back to that.
Yeah, later on in the series, it became so much better. than
Yeah.
it
Well,
was,
you mean
know.
like the
Jennifer
recast?
Yeah, the recast.
Yeah, that's a lot better.
Example of like a very bad one would be the Statue of Liberty Wolverine
Yeah.
one.
Yes.
I don't even know what was going on there. Even like just I think like the opening shot of just like the Statue of Liberty was even CGI. You know, just looked like a video game.
Yeah.
At points.
Even though like Storm like using lightning on Sabretooth, I didn't think looked bad. Cyclops stuff didn't look bad. I don't think.
That wasn't terrible, especially in the train station scene.
What are you laughing at?
No. I would debate the one with Sabretooth.
The Storm and Sabretooth
Yeah.
one?
Yeah. I don't know. For some reason
Well,
that.
I mean, he does get hit with like a JPEG lightning a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. that-
But I have
But
to
for the
also,
time, I don't think it's the worst.
yeah. It's not the worst for the time. I will
And-
agree.
Sabretooth, I have to agree with what James said. He's not my favorite
He's-
Sabretooth. He was
Yeah.
a horrible
I
Sabretooth.
don't know what's
Horrible.
up with this, but he was getting like thrown around like
Yeah.
30 times in this movie.
And he was just a terrible looking Sabretooth.
He
Yeah,
looks
just
like
looked
Sabretooth.
weird.
And as I was going to say, he looks probably more like the Sabretooth from the comics.
I love
but-
his long eyebrows.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
Also, the every
Yeah.
time they show
Yeah, I
him.
don't know why he was just like a lion. or
Yeah,
whatever.
I still think Liev Schreiber
Yeah.
should have been recasted back into
Yeah.
Sabretooth because he was just cool.
Like
Plus
they
I
did
like the way he
Star
talked.
Wars.
Yeah.
I
Do
the
you
way he
like?
talked, too.
You prefer the animal Sabretooth or the human?
Human.
I like
the
the human
human.
one, too.
I think plus the human, he also has like a sadistic side to him,
Made it a
which
little
I
more
love
personal.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I
Yeah.
liked that.
Also
about
makes
it.
him more like relatable to Wolverine.
Right.
Yes.
Or
100%.
comparable, I guess.
Yep. Because in the end, they're both animals, but in a different
Yeah.
form.
Stuff like the Magneto's Newton cradle though. It's just like so tacky, you know.
Yeah.
I thought Magneto's flying stuff looked cool.
That was cool. I agree.
They had him wired all up.
He's flying around like a fairy.
And when he was all dressed up in the Magneto costume, it actually
Yeah.
looked
Yeah,
good.
he looked cool.
Probably like the best one from the
Yeah.
movies.
He was a very cool villain. I mean, to me, the very first movie was they did everything they can to avoid actually killing,
Yeah.
because at any point, like the scene with the cops,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Magneto could have just
No, they
dropped
could've-
cars on him all day. you know.
Massacred, yeah.
But he had to dramatize it up with the guns and
And that was actually a very cool scene. That's probably one of my favorite scenes
Yeah.
in the movie because there's so much tense and drama
Right.
going on there, especially with the bullet, in the
bullet.
cop's
Oh,
head,
yeah.
and he's
Right.
just pushing
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
against his head.
and the way he talks to Charles.
Yeah.
I feel like his talks with Charles, like it's like 3 in the movie, I
Yeah.
think, right? One at like the hallway,
Yeah.
one there in the police shootout, and one
The one
in the
with
plastic
Jess,
prison.
yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to that whole thing, these two would definitely have more of a connection. Like it's like the old lovers, on two
Yeah.
different.
That's always
Yeah.
like how I've
It's like a big-
assumed.
yeah, and
they were meant to be written.
I'm in your camp now. I get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because
But
I
it just feels
understand
like they wrote the entire movie based off those scenes.
that. I
you know?
think 100%.
Back to
Yeah.
the scene where Charles and Magneto were talking with like all the cops.
Mm-hmm.
I think powers in this movie are shown very well. I think though it's like Charles and Magneto's are shown off better than other
Yeah.
people's.
Right.
Yeah, I
Maybe
like
just
that one
because it is
scene.
easier.
Yeah, where not Wolverine, Sabretooth, puts his hand on his throat. And I'm like, oh yeah, Charles is in charge now.
Yeah.
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 Although,
where'd that
like,
come from?
why couldn't he do it like on the rock or whatever that they lived on, like
Mhm.
the island? Yeah.
Yeah.
They
It's
didn't
also
want
like
to.
where did Storm and Cyclops go during all that?
Yeah.
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 Because
Yeah, where was
like
that?
they're at the train station and then they're
Mhm.
just gone after like nothing really even happens.
No.
What'd you think of Wolverine's meeting with Magneto?
I like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's a He's like that fabulous metal is in
Yeah.
your whole
Yeah.
body, or whatever he says, something like that. But it's great.
And
Such a
you
fun
know he
line.
can sense it. Like
Yeah.
he just
Yeah.
knows,
He knows.
Yeah.
what's going on and everything that's going on around
Yeah.
them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then it was, well, let me bet. That just looked
Yeah.
horrible. Imagine that feeling of having.
Bends them again, like towards the end too,
Yeah.
and they turn like almost liquidy.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh.
But yeah, he the master of magnetism for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. I felt like the action in this movie, like I didn't like it that much though.
Mhm.
Just felt like
Yeah,
very
like it would
tacky.
start, but it never really took off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even just like when the X-Men first show up in the movie, and it's like at the truck,
Mhm.
Wolverine's truck.
Mhm.
It kind of reminded me of Captain America 1990. Just like the special effects, because I don't think there was much VFX other than like Cyclops in that.
Right.
But yeah, just like the amount of cuts too
Oh God.
really reminded me of Captain America. But just like it kept like going from the truck to the X-Men to like I don't know, it was just horrible. And then like just Sabretooth fucking flying 40
Tearing,
feet.
yeah, trees getting torn down.
Yeah.
And Sabretooth's there.
I do like how they just kind of appeared though.
Yeah.
They just pop up and it's like, oh, X-Men are here.
Yeah.
Cool.
Which is how they actually. That's how the comic books
Yeah.
work. They just appear.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no like significant build up
Yeah.
with like teasing that they'll be around. They just
They're
pop
just
up.
there.
Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't too bad. I did like the way they showed Cyclops's
Mhm.
beam
Mm-hmm.
for
Yeah.
that time.
I wish that they gave his character more to do in these movies.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
He doesn't do
He's
anything
He's
for
the
2
leader
movies
of
and then
the
dies
X-Men.
off screen.
Yeah. He's literally the leader of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How the fuck?
They also they were like constantly confused, I think, about how his powers work because like at some points like he like melts shit with his beams.
Yeah, and then
Other times
it's
they're
like,
like
He
clearly
bounces.
concussive,
Yeah.
Right.
which they're supposed to be concussive.
right.
I don't think they melt things at all.
Well, I'm assuming it's at what power level he decides to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's not like his eyes are open. I think he can actually control
Yeah.
the power level of
Yeah.
laser
But, like,
beam to push you away.
Aren't they like
His eyes are
concussive?
portals to the punch realm.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I mean, like if you like, I watched a video where a guy like punched chicken till it was cooked.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess technically you could do
Yeah.
that, but like I don't think it's supposed to be like just like a hot laser.
Yeah,
which
no,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
not like
Yeah.
Superman. So,
Punch
Right.
chicken till it.
Yeah, it's not heat
Yeah.
vision.
because it's
Punch
just like kinetic force can do that over time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Wow.
I'm intrigued. Send me the
I am
video.
too.
later.
So they had a rule on set: no comics allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like kind of Kevin Feige's like big entry point because he was like not producer but maybe producer.
I think he was.
Yeah.
Maybe not. A
he was on
producer.
set as like the go-to comic guy at least.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah, he was just like a part of
He was
the
like
creation.
sneaking comic books to Hugh Jackman.
It's a comic book dealer.
Yeah,
But-
he was.
I feel like it did manifest in the movie of just like completely forgetting about comics, like especially the line where it's like, what do you think it would be? Yellow spandex?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny, I guess.
This
but
movie
bad.
takes itself very seriously, and it wants to not be like a comic book movie. It wants to be its own thing, but
It comes off as a comic book movie.
it's like equally cringy for different
Right.
reasons.
Right.
At times.
I'd say the seriousness is kind of like a worthy sacrifice, though, because I feel like without it, like we wouldn't have the MCU and all that. So, yeah.
Agreed.
I think though that like MCU movies take themselves less seriously than
I mean, yeah,
this
it's just
movie.
like
Well, especially as time goes on. I hope they become more serious.
Not like too serious
No.
though.
I think it was a good entry point because I feel like the majority of people did like how serious it was, you know. So
Yeah, I think like Joss Whedon Avengers though he completely like flipped the script
yeah,
and now kind of created like this whole new style of superhero movies.
yeah. But like opening up with a Nazi concentration camp scene is like a crazy thing
Yeah.
for a
Well,
superhero
this was also like the first blockbuster superhero movie,
yeah.
so it's
Well,
not.
I mean, not really like Superman and all that.
For blockbuster ones, I'd say this is like the biggest one, like the first one.
I mean, like first superhero team maybe.
Yeah, team maybe because Superman was a big thing back in the day when it
Yeah.
came out, especially the Christopher Reeve
Yeah,
series was
it's
insane.
funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You will really believe a man could fly.
that's right.
You know,
yeah, maybe I'm thinking more along the lines of just like the modern superhero.
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
I mean, there was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Blade and
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So that was like 97 or something.
right.
But I mean, this movie had this lighthearted moments too. I mean, the whole relationship between Cyclops and
Jean.
I mean, that was nice. But then also the relationship between Cyclops and Wolverine too.
Yeah.
You know, whoa, it's me.
How do you
How
know?
do you know? You're a dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
You
was
know?
definitely a Whedon line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of to talk about like what we were just talking about with like the relationships a little bit. I hate the fact that Wolverine loves Jean Grey so much in this
I
movie.
agree.
I mean,
Is it love or is it just like he just wants to knock a piece off? I mean,
I don't
come
know
on.
if that's really my issue. It's just like the love triangle.
Yeah,
Like I don't really know why I don't like the love triangle as much as like
I don't like it
X-Men
because
97
like
even.
Wolverine's side of it isn't written well at all, or like
Right.
developed at all.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I brought in from the comic books. You know, going into seeing the movie, I already knew that there
Yeah.
was that.
Yeah.
that
But
little-
like in this movie, like he just thinks she's like hot.
yeah,
Yeah.
they didn't do him justice.
Yeah.
But see, that's but it's like their first meeting, and he's like, you know, the cool guy. And I just my thought, he just wants to knock a piece
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
You know.
What I would have liked to see is from the original 1997 X-Men is where the Wolverine that lays on the bed with the picture and he's like, Jean. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him like that's on a fine ass.
I think but I think the fine ass thing is how it begins, and then
Yeah, I think so
later
too.
on,
I agree.
it becomes like a relationship. Like he finds out, okay, there's more to her than just a beautiful ass.
And I
you're
think-
gonna be real disappointed in these next two movies.
I know,
'Cause they don't go any further.
I know,
And
which is
then
weird.
He's
I
like, I
kind of
love
think
you.
he actually enjoyed riling up Scott.
Oh,
Size
yeah.
guy.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
think so too.
That was part of the
Who
enjoyment.
was just a very flat actor in this for
Yeah.
me. He just didn't do
Well,
anything.
I don't hate his portrayal of him because like Scott kind of just is like a
Boy
quiet,
Scout.
boring autistic
Right.
guy.
Little Boy Scout, yeah.
So like it's kind of just what he is, but
Yeah.
they just don't like have anything for him to do in this movie. Is the issue.
Because like in the comics, he's just like constantly like just dealing with X-Men shit.
Yeah.
So
And like everyone fucking hates him because he deals like with things like an asshole. But like he is a good leader.
Mm-hmm.
And this one, he's kind of just
He's just
around
there. Yeah, he's
like
just
Storm.
a background character.
Yeah. Everyone is like a background character to Wolverine on the team. In these movies, at least.
So I talked earlier about like the cycle of violence, and I feel like the Brotherhood of Mutants, like that's kind of the only thing they had going for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I also did not like them in like the action scenes at all. You know, just felt like goofy whenever they were on screen. Really.
Especially Toad.
Yeah. I mean, even just like Sabretooth, just like roaring like a lion. It's
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
It was
Stupid.
funny, though, that they just played him up like to be just a big dumbass the whole
Yeah.
time.
That's it. He was even that whole scene with the senator,
yeah.
and he comes up with the the empty suit.
It was funny.
I thought Mystique was cool.
Yeah.
She was the only good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Really.
I thought her fight with Wolverine was.
Oh, that was a pretty
cool.
good
Yeah.
fight.
You know.
My issue with these movies at Mystique is that she kind of is just like an action sequence type of character.
Right.
But then the Jennifer Lawrence ones, once you get into those, they kind of like discover like what her role in society would be. You know, she's this blue person where it's like she doesn't fit in anywhere,
Right.
and she has to constantly pretend to be someone else.
Right.
But
So-
what? Okay, so how does that work? Because Beast doesn't have her powers. He can't transform into a human, so he has to walk around constantly like a blue person.
Well, initially he's like he looks like a human, and then he transforms into Beast.
Yeah.
He thought he was helping himself.
Yeah.
oh,
But
okay.
yeah. Then he becomes the Beast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those two had a great relationship early on.
Also, not in like the Kelsey Grammer one, but the Nicholas Hoult version, I think, can turn into Beast at times. Like,
Oh, you have to like make him mad.
yeah,
And he turns blue and ragey.
Nah,
I don't remember.
I don't
Which
like
I
that.
didn't like that. We
Yeah.
see that in Days of the Future Past, right?
yeah. But I
think
think
that's
as
right,
they
yeah.
go along, like the thing with his mutation is it's like constantly mutating.
Right. Correct.
So I think he like loses that ability after a certain time. There is like 4 of them. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like a silly team.
Underrated.
Yeah. And like their plan doesn't really make a lot of sense either. Like it also doesn't seem like something Magneto would do. Like why would he kill a mutant to like do all this, you know?
I mean, I guess he's all about like the greater good or whatever.
Yeah.
One
Yeah, but
sacrifice.
of course he doesn't want to take the chance of him dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got to
You
make
know,
sure
because he
Rogue-
needs to make sure he's gonna lead the mutants. So
Mhm.
you know, next best thing is let her take my power for a little.
And it just like doesn't, because like at the end, I guess like he just wanted to kill all humans then.
No, mutate
No, he
them.
wanted to make everyone
like-
a mutant.
Mhm.
He was already told
That it's
that
not
they
gonna-
that one of them
Yeah.
died.
Yeah.
I don't think he believed it.
Yeah,
don't
knowing him, yeah.
Because of who told him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Are
Just
you
skip
sure
it.
you saw what you saw?
Yeah, but like it seemed like he almost didn't believe himself then
Mhm.
with that line. Yeah,
Too far gone also at that point.
I guess. Back to like the historical references and just like the whole Nazi scene. I feel like it would have been better if they just like not just the tattoo like scene or like how they showed that, but like if they had a little bit more and just like subtly showed that he suffered.
Yeah.
Because then like in X-Men First Class, I think it's like the scene is like recreated.
Yeah.
Or it might just
Pretty
be-
much. No, you're
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's recreated because then they have more stuff, or maybe they just recast. But yeah,
They also have the scene in First Class where he like orders a beer and then he locks the 2 Nazis in the restaurant with
Yeah.
him.
Oh, yeah.
much
Yes.
better characterization. There.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I think Fassbender's Magneto is my favorite.
Yeah, well, he
'Cause
also looked like
have to
the
agree.
Aryan race in that scene too. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
so they took to him right away, and then he turned the tables on him.
Yeah.
That was a great scene.
I think they really discover the like Eric Magnus Langshire side of Magneto in those movies.
Yeah.
This one's more
Most
just
certainly. Oh, yeah.
you know Magneto.
Mm-hmm.
He's already old. He's
Yeah.
already
Yeah.
who he is.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas,
The one thing that makes me curious is, do they ever mention Genosha? Or the island of Genosha,
don't
which is
think
where
In
he...
these ones,
Yeah.
I don't think it
I
exists.
thought they mentioned it once in this past movie.
I don't think so.
definitely not in the first one.
I don't think they ever go to it or anything.
Yeah,
It's
no.
like ever a presence.
That's the thing that
Like,
makes
it might be on the
no
news or
sense to
whatever,
me, because I
something.
know in the comic books he has an island where it's all mutants.
Yeah.
And he's basically like the king there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting, but all right. It was good curious.
Yeah, maybe they do mention it in the third one. Honestly, Could
Yeah,
see
that's what I'm hoping, because I remember watching it. And I don't think they did.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I feel like the final battle's like conclusion just didn't really make sense at all to me. Or not that it makes sense. It's just like the most action-heavy part
Mhm.
of the film.
It
And it's
seems like they were really rushing to get to that.
yeah,
Yeah.
just like the whole Mystique and Wolverine. Just like I like, why wouldn't they help at all with that?
Mhm.
The X-Men, I mean. But yeah, just felt weird. And, I guess I liked how she turned into Storm to try
Yeah,
and trick him.
I like that
Mhm.
scene.
Yeah, but
I think the way that they showed like Wolverine's like ability to like sniff things out
Mm-hmm.
was really good in this movie.
Yeah,
and they
that-
introduced it, you know, immediately too.
Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, that's part of his powers
Yeah.
that you
Mhm.
you don't really think about, but
We're not alone.
Very
so
effective.
Watch out.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, I know he can once smell something in the air. He can also track
Yeah.
Yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, he like pretty much is like a detective at times in the comic.
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I know at some point he worked with the Hulk in Vegas. What was his name?
Joe Fixit
Yeah.
Fix It. I
Joe
know he
Fix
worked
It.
with Fix It. at
in
some-
in
at some point.
Madripoor
yeah,
when he was the
Which I
patch
think-
Wolverine.
yeah. That was. We see a lot of that in those comic books. I
Mhm.
think.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like these movies, they do like a great job in the first one of kind of showcasing all of his abilities, and then they just steer very far off of it
Mm-hmm.
towards, you know, the latter end of these movies where
Yeah.
he just is like fighting guy. which he is definitely more than that for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
he's more than a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The X-Men all get captured.
That was one of my favorite scenes
Mhm.
with him breaking free.
Mm-hmm.
I guess
I do like how Magneto trapped them all in like specific ways where it's like anything you guys do will be bad. You know, like
right.
you have Scott and Jean face to face
Right.
without Scott's visor.
Yep.
Wolverine's claws are like, into himself,
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah. His
weird,
hands
though.
are like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
because he can heal though.
Yeah.
Like, I guess Magneto just forgot
Yeah.
about that.
Well, maybe he
Yeah.
didn't really.
Maybe he didn't
100%
think
know.
he had the guts to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I think that again, once again, portrays how smart Magneto is.
Mhm. Even
He
like
could-
the
he could-
line where it's like Scott says "Storm, fry him," and he's like, "Into a copper conductor."
Yeah. yeah.
So
Yeah.
very cool the
Yeah.
way they portray him in this.
That was just very comic bookish,
Mhm.
where you had all of the heroes
Yeah,
in the same,
Yeah.
10 square foot area.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, it's like what they would do with the Fantastic Four or something. in the
Yeah, comic
books.
books just like love
Yeah.
putting their heroes into like bondage type of
Yeah,
situation.
right.
But I almost wanted like from the old Batman and Robin TV show. I
Yes,
wanted
yeah.
like that background thing. Is the dynamic duo done
Yeah.
for?
Yeah.
The like Wolverine and Sabretooth fight, I felt was kind of goofy.
That was
Yeah.
goofy.
That's-
But
Yeah.
I just because I found this Sabretooth just as a goofy, dumb character.
Yeah.
You know?
You
Big
are
ol'-
like led to believe though that they're like mortal enemies, kind of,
Mhm.
but it's never explored or like we're never told
Right.
like if they have a background together.
Yeah, right. At this point, we didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know Sabretooth was his brother or,
Yeah.
you know.
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't exist until Origins, which
Mhm.
they retcon it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a whole other thing we'll get into eventually. Is just the timeline of all these movies is
Yeah, it's
all
real
over
whacked.
the place.
It's all
but
Yeah.
then it is saved at one point, so we'll get there.
After the Sabretooth fight, Wolverine somehow gets Cyclops' glasses, and then
Yeah. Well, Sabretooth had them.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then Jean Grey. Does she have like a name in this movie that isn't Jean Grey?
No,
No, it's just
she's
Jean.
Jay.
Because I think she's like Marvel Girl in the comics.
Yeah.
Like,
In the
she's
comics,
Phoenix,
yeah.
so, yeah.
Mhm.
Which I guess maybe they couldn't have even used.
Yeah, they
Um,
probably couldn't use it.
So then Jean Grey gives Cyclops' glasses, and I liked how like the visor worked in this.
Yeah, just like
Mhm.
angling it
Yeah.
and being able to shoot forwards and having it bounce that way is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was because that's like what it's supposed to do. That makes sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. Like I feel like the only time you ever see that again is still like X-Men 97.
What was the ear portion?
It's a button so that
Oh.
it
It's
opens
what
it. Because
presses.
technically, if his eyes are open,
Mm-hmm.
they are
Yeah.
emitting that.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's that visor keeps it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
No, that I know. I
locked
just
in.
didn't know what on both sides he had the ear things.
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah.
kind of from the comics, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what he does.
Yeah.
He presses the
Mhm.
the visor.
They didn't give him his condom helmet though.
Yeah. yeah.
In the comics, like the
Yeah.
original suit for him is just like a condom like
Condom.
headpiece. All of them kind of have that
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. They all just have like just like very
Yeah, it's
tight.
like just pulled over the top.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's Beast before he had
Yeah,
hair.
the
Yeah.
big beast
Wow.
guy. I do love his original design. He's just like a big acrobatic guy.
Yeah.
X-Men, sponsored by Trojan.
Nice.
Just latex head helmet.
Just squeeze it again.
Yeah, it's like a pool.
Where the hell is
swimmer.
Scott?
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell is Scott? He's in a locker room squeezing into the condom.
God.
Oh boy.
That's a different Wolverine and Cyclops video.
Cyclops takes like 15 seconds to shoot Magneto.
Well, because they send Wolverine up there
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
with like a combination of Storm's wind powers. and-
I know, but like it still just.
Well,
like,
because
I
so
feel like
here's why they don't want to risk killing Rogue, and like they know Wolverine can heal. So like they don't know what's gonna happen if they shoot into this insane
Right.
contraption
Mhm.
and like magnetic field that Magneto has going on here. So they're trying to get Wolverine to just break it before any of that happens. But then he starts bending the claws again, liquefying them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And Scott, this is like the most leader thing he does in the whole thing is just makes the tough choice
Yeah.
Mhm.
and says, "Fuck it, I'm taking my shot," and ultimately it pays off. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it was weird a little bit.
I actually thought it was like the one scene in this movie where they portrayed him as he would be, like for real.
As the leader.
I'd have to agree
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
You're right. That's the only significant scene in the
Mhm.
fucking movie that he had.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Other than like the don't take my girlfriend.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, that's the only scene that actually shows him as the leader of the team. Up
Yeah.
until then, it would be following Wolverine around.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, again, like, I see why they did it, because
He's
you're
popular.
gonna, show off your most popular character as the main guy.
Yeah.
But Wolverine doesn't even, like, show up in the X-Men
Yeah.
for so long in the comics. So.
I feel like I literally cannot remember a single like musical score for this movie at all. You know,
I was gonna say I actually like the soundtrack a lot.
why?
Did you?
It's like I like, especially when in the scene with the truck, they're showing off Wolverine's like sniffing powers. The soundtrack behind it is just like, sounds like curious as well, where it's like, something interesting going on here, and it's like just a good way to like the musical cue that goes with his powers, or like discovering powers.
Would you have preferred something like Across the Spider-Verse, where like I feel like I can remember most of the songs in that?
For this movie, no, I think it would have been really terrible, because it would have been like an early 2000s soundtrack,
I guess.
where it just like it just shows like Jean Grey walking in, and you would have like Stacy's mom.
I don't mean like that. I mean like the score for Spider-Verse, where it's just like the drumming scene and all that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like if you're asking me if a better soundtrack would have been good.
Well, just like songs that you can remember, because like subjectively, you might want something where like you can remember it or just forget it and just like
Yeah, I
blends
mean,
into the background.
I guess I would have liked that better, just because like on principle, I think that is this makes the movie better. But I don't think that the soundtrack in this one was bad per se.
Yeah.
I think it works.
But it's almost like they did it in that old style with like a whole band behind just going scene to scene and
they
playing
probably
music
did.
to it. Yeah, and that's probably what this was. Just so it's like not just standard out of the box music. They actually scored it to scenes,
Right.
Which I mean, like
to make.
I think even the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies that came out a year or two after this took that concept and was better. Like Danny Elfman's score in those is widely regarded as being some of the best.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't pick up on the curious or any other details like that.
You're not even watching.
At least I watched the right one.
Oh,
On his
Dang.
birthday.
On his birthday.
What the
Dissed
hell,
him on his
man?
birthday.
this in public.
Wow. I thought we were family.
Hey. That's what family does, man.
Yeah.
Which portrayal of powers was your favorite, you think?
Xavier and Magneto's for me. I also do think they're the easiest to portray, like in a movie. So maybe like it shouldn't be my favorite, but I just think that they panned out the best.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with Magneto because he can be so in that moment. He even quipped about it a little bit in that one scene when they were having the conversation
When they're
the
playing
rest of
chess?
the train station with the police and the whole
Mm-hmm.
bit. And Magneto is doing all this stuff and holding the bullets and still having a full-on conversation calmly, And
Yeah.
it just shows his power.
I also love how Xavier's talking through other people in that one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just thought my issue was that Professor X like could have figured out where the island was and all that.
It seems though like he has to go through Cerebro in this
Well,
movie.
yeah. I just mean like because the other mutants there didn't have like protection, so
What's the plane made of?
I
Metal.
don't know.
I'm just
I
wondering
don't
how
know,
it
yeah.
can never be. It's not manipulated by Magneto.
The thing with this movie is like that is true actually. Yeah.
Well, do they ever like
Good point.
does Magneto ever encounter that plane?
I don't. Does he?
Not really. The
So,
only
yeah.
time would be when it's flying away from the statue. Is the only time that he would like see it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like,
Well, Storm
Got him
kind
at
of
that
covered
point,
them,
right?
right? With the fog coming in.
yeah.
He did know that they were there though. When he
And
saw
I'm
the fog.
assuming that it kind of looks like an SR-71, like a
Oh, yeah.
Blackbird,
Mhm.
but it has stealth properties.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It's one of the coolest fucking
Yeah.
ships
yeah.
I've ever
It
do
may
seen.
like
not.
the
It may
Blackbird.
not be magnetic.
Airplanes. I've
Yeah,
ever
that's
seen.
what I don't
Yeah.
know. If it's,
I mean, I'm sure
yeah.
some parts of it have to be, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the computer parts of it have to be.
yeah, I mean,
definitely.
something has to be that he
But
would
if-
be able to.
Can he manipulate
mean-
aluminum? Can
Yeah. Any metal.
I just don't think he like saw it. You know,
Mhm.
like I don't think there was ever a point for him to like
Right. Yeah. Where,
use anything with.
where he
So,
would. Right.
Speaking
bring
of
him
which,
down.
do you guys remember a character in the comics that he's just an engineer for that plane?
Really?
Forge.
Yeah.
Oh, Forge. Yeah.
Forge. yeah.
I'm surprised. Was he in this movie?
No.
I don't remember.
He might. I don't know if he's in the entire franchise.
Yeah. I know Bishop shows up in Days of Future Past.
I guess Forge wasn't like a big character that they could
Yeah,
use.
he's in X-Men 97.
Pretty prominently too.
Gotta
yeah.
watch it. Gotta watch it.
Him and Storm end up together, I think, in the comics as
Oh,
well.
wow.
She ended up with King T'Challa.
That's
Later
one
on.
of the people, yeah.
Yeah.
Been
Well,
sleeping around.
ultimately, that's where she ends up.
Yeah.
In hindsight, how well do you think X-Men holds up today with other superhero films?
Curious to know what you think.
It's not the worst. I mean,
Yeah,
I would
definitely not the
watch
worst.
it and enjoy it again.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you laugh and you look at some of the parts and go, all right, that was a little horrible. Like you said, some of the wording probably could have been
Yeah.
redone. But as a general movie, I'd watch it again.
Yeah. It's definitely not as good as I thought it was when I was younger.
Right.
Yeah,
Correct.
same.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which
Absolutely.
happens for sure.
Yeah.
That happens.
Yeah.
It's fine though.
Yeah.
I think it's, a solid kickoff to the whole thing.
Right.
Nothing like over the top spectacular, but not to the point where it's like worst superhero movie ever made
Right.
list.
And like you just said, it's exactly it. That's the first time I've seen those characters. So the first time I seen them, I was like, wow, all right, that was impressive.
Yeah.
Now looking back after, going through 30 years worth of superhero movies, yeah, if I have to compare it to the more modern stuff, it's a little weird. But back then, yeah, I was happy. I walked out of the theater fine.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to see that it's like self-serious.
Yeah.
And like when you look at something like Civil War, like Winter Soldier, like that's how to do serious.
Right.
So
Yeah. I'd even say like Infinity War pulls off serious.
yeah, I
a
mean
bit
those
better.
just like have better stories in the first
Yeah.
place.
What do you think about the fact that they didn't really adapt any major comic story for this one? It's pretty much an original story.
Right. Yeah, I think that was fine. That was fine too.
Yeah.
I think you got to remember, was it 2000?
Mm-hmm.
You got to say to yourself, if you adapt the story from the comics, the only people that are going to go see it are the comic
Yeah,
people.
that's true.
So, let's give them something that anybody could, associate with
Yeah,
or just
that is a good
enjoy.
point.
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically an origin story for the X-Men.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
know?
that you have elements of like literally like 63, like X-Men 1, just
Yep.
like discussing that there is this team.
Yeah.
And even like the introduction by Charles in this movie, like mutations are this. That's kind of from the first X-Men comic.
I
Yeah.
mean, it worked out well. When you're in the mansion, you get the feeling it's well established. There's a hierarchy. There's, procedures, processes, the whole bit. You get that right away. And I thought that worked out well in this movie.
Least favorite scene?
The entrance of Sabretooth.
Oh,
Yeah.
anything with
that was
Sabretooth.
horrible. Everything with Sabretooth was just
Yeah.
terrible.
I'd have to go with that, just like that whole action scene, how I said it was like
Yeah,
Captain
and I
America
think it's just
1990.
because of the way they really portrayed it. Because costume-wise,
Yeah.
not my favorite, but not bad. But just that he was a dumbass the whole time.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yep.
My least favorite scene is the death of the senator. That whole thing,
Stupid.
it was just silly.
I liked it in concept and just like how they were caring for him and all that, and just like I don't want to be alone. But I guess like that is kind of cliche-ish.
But just the way that she ran off from there and everything, it's just weird.
Yeah, like I just feel like it's not gonna have like a lasting effect, and it doesn't really.
No.
So,
Yeah. I really didn't dig Toad.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, his stupid power and his tongue or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
His acrobatics were
Yeah.
okay, but it just the
I
character
mean,
itself.
yeah, he's
was
like the
just,
Darth Maul actor.
Yeah.
And apparently like him doing like the thing with the baton or like stick or whatever it was supposed to be like a throwback.
like
Yeah.
the
He's coming back for Deadpool and Wolverine. I think my least favorite scene is the scene where Storm confronts Toad. Because like they try to play it up like such a big thing, and up to this point, like she's done nothing
right.
cool yet. So like we have to get it in for her, and then she just says that horrible line.
I know.
and that's it.
Terrible.
I have to say though, when she showed up and in full thing, and her eyes were light, and the doors open or something, and she was there, I was like, that's pretty cool. She looks good. She looks good in
Yeah,
that
I mean
character,
she could
you know?
definitely play the part. Just
Yeah.
never let her.
Yeah.
No, they actually never let her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she could pick multiple targets.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
I mean, it's not like she had a face Toad. She could have
Yeah.
knocked anybody that she wanted to out with a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
But
I think maybe one thing I'll say as like an additional comment is this movie came out at a time before like you could really even like think about like plot holes almost.
well, yeah. Yeah.
So there is like a lot of things where you could just be like, why didn't they just do this and that? Because no one was thinking about that
Right.
at the time.
Right.
So,
I mean, technically, she could do Thor-style entrances.
yeah.
Yeah.
With the
She
Wakanda
could have
scene.
instead of like all the crazy shit that they did like going up into the Statue of Liberty, she could have just like while they were maybe like on the island away from it, she could just hit it with lightning.
Yeah.
and blowing up the machine.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe she has to be that close or whatever. You're right.
Yeah.
Favorite scene?
I'm gonna go with the train scene. I really dig the way they did the Magneto conversation with Charles, with him holding the guns and
Yeah.
cocking it. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, I'd say that one, and then I also really enjoyed the last scene between Charles and Magneto inside the plastic prison.
Playing plastic
with them
chess.
playing chess. Yeah, because chess is always a great way to symbolize just like, two strategies going against each other.
I do feel like it's kind of like overdone at this point, though. Like
Yeah,
now,
I think it is a perfect representation of like their relationship, though.
It's just like such an action movie, like strategic villain thing, though. You know.
Yeah.
But like back then, yeah, it worked pretty well.
Yeah, I just think the two of them like basically almost being like tied in chess, because
Well, I think there is like a hint that Magneto is winning.
when he
that I
knocks
saw.
down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know if I mentioned, I think I might have told you, I always like the fact that, I'm the bad guy, you're the good guy, but they're very respectful to each other, even to the point where, Magneto might kill everybody in the world, whatever, but they always speak with each other with respect.
Yeah, I think that the Charles and Eric relationship is the like most interesting part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And not even just this movie, just like, the X-Men ethos.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you have Charles, like this guy that just wants to help people, and he wants, I mean, you can, toss it up to being like MLK and Malcolm X. Because it did come out at a time where that was prevalent.
Yeah, true.
I'd have to say my favorite scene is the Wolverine and Rogue in the bar.
No, that was cool.
That was a good scene. Mine is kind of weird, but it was a good setup, and it actually changed my whole mind about Magneto. It was just the opening scene of the movie. It was powerful. I mean, that kid, until he hit him with the butt end of the gun, the power that was coming out of him was unbelievable. And then, now you know why Magneto is Magneto.
Yeah, he's a character,
Yeah.
based in trauma.
And it was just like not even a 4-minute scene, and it just added so much power to the whole character in the movie. So that's sort of my favorite scene.
And like you discussed, that mutants really don't know what their powers are.
Yeah,
so
and that's, I think that was his moment of finding out, wow, I have power. I don't think he knew up until then.
And you
I don't
think,
think he knows
where he
then.
came
Yeah.
from, and he couldn't control. He didn't know. He couldn't like start it, and then when he did, he couldn't control it.
Yeah.
And now you're at a point where he's got 50 guns holding in the air,
Yeah.
and he can cock anyone he wants, fire a bullet, and stop the bullet while he.
His,
it's like
his mind just became so powerful from then. Yeah.
I think First Class just really expands on that.
Yeah, no, that's what I remember watching it. So we're gonna get back into that again anyway, right?
Yeah.
So,
No, actually.
No?
First
I mean, like,
Class, we don't have on the list.
If we have
First Class
extra
is-
time, we might have to, honestly.
If we might throw that in as a bonus, just because Wolverine's in it for 5
because
seconds.
that's actually, I think, one of the better movies. Yeah.
Go for it. Final rating?
I got to say 5 myself. Probably 5 to 6, but probably more than a 5. Just now, maybe back then it would have been higher.
right.
But I have to say 5 now, up to today's standards.
I originally had it as a 7, and I moved it down to a 5. This is the first time I've rewatched in like 4 years, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm at a definitive 5. Very neutral.
Yeah, I'm gonna say coming out of the theater would have been an 8. Looking back on it now and everything, I'm gonna give it a 6.
I would have to give it a 6.5,
Okay.
just because Wolverine.
Yeah.
Wolverine.
It's your turn for the Encyclopedia.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my girl. Spiderwoman, investigator with irresistible powers.
The daughter of scientist Jonathan Drew, Jessica gained her powers before birth when a laser laced with spider DNA hit her mother's womb. Born and raised in Wundagore Mountain, her powers manifested when she was 6 years old. She was in stasis for a long time, and when she woke, found herself in the care of Hydra.
Ooh.
Wow. Super spy, trained by the Taskmaster, and with her mind warped by Montalo, Jessica became an agent of Hydra. Captured by S.H.I.E.L.D. on her first mission and then released, she went underground. She resurfaced to become an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a short time, after which she struck out on her own, calling herself Spiderwoman. Jessica became a private investigator, a bounty hunter, and sometimes superhero. At one point, she saved the life of the giant man, Bill Foster, through a blood transfusion and lost some of her powers in the process. Others took on the name Spider-Woman, but when Hydra offered to restore Jessica's powers if she would become their agent. She accepted the deal, then contacted Nick Fury and became a double agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. Shortly thereafter, she was kidnapped by the Skrulls and replaced by Queen Vernanke.
Yeah, she's a pretty big part of Secret Invasion.
Wow. While posing as Jessica, Vernanke led the secret invasion. Norman Osborn, Sea Green Goblin, shot and killed Vernanke in the final battle of the Skrull invasion. Jessica, along with several other replaced heroes, was found in a Skrull prison ship and brought back to Earth. She just since joined the Avengers team led by Captain America, Bucky Barnes. Jessica used her spycraft to infiltrate the evil Inheritors' homeworld and ensured that her allies got the information they needed to defeat them. Then she resigned from the Avengers and went back to being a detective. Jessica gave birth to her son, Jerry.
And that's where Seinfeld starts.
And was determined to be a heroic example of him.
Okay.
Real name, Jessica Drew. Occupation, adventurer.
Ooh, really?
Base, mobile.
Ooh.
Height, 5 foot 10 inches. Weight, 130 pounds. Eyes green. Hair brown, dyed black. First appearance, Marvel Spotlight number 32, February 1977. Key storylines. The Spider-Woman number 1.
I have that.
The first issue of her original self-titled series sees Jessica Drew striking out on her own as a hero. Spider-Woman, origin number 1 through 6. This limited series retells Spider-Woman's beginnings from Hydra porn to a
Porn?
porn, Hydra porn, to a member of the Avengers.
It's a different Spider-Woman.
Yes. New Avengers number 1. Jessica Drew returns as Spider-Woman as in the New Avengers. Or is she?
Mm.
Oh yeah, because
What was her powers?
Spider-Man-like powers, and then also she has pheromones that can make any man fall in love with her.
Really?
It's kind of like
Okay.
Wolverine's son can do that too.
Well,
But
here we go.
fully Spider-Man, like strength-wise and
Oh, here
everything?
we go.
think
Yeah,
so,
we have
yeah.
we have powers here now.
Okay.
Enhanced strength, speed, and hearing. Flight, superhuman healing factor, emits mood-altering pheromones that attract both sexes. Ability to adhere to walls and fire electric venom blasts.
No. So she's kind of
Yeah.
like Miles Morales powers. But
I always thought that it was weird how like Miles' static shock was like a venom strike,
Mhm.
because like
Yeah.
both those words don't really mean
Right.
like electric
Right.
shock, you know.
yeah, she doesn't have spider sense, I guess,
No, it didn't say anything about spider sense.
but she has supreme hearing.
Yes.
Now, I always wondered,
Oh.
do you prefer the Spider-Man with the web part of him or the cartridge?
I like the card more.
I like cartridge. I also like the web part of him wasn't a thing until Sam Raimi did it. They just did that because
Well,
like the cartridges would be too hard to make, right?
Spider-Man 2099 had it, but
Oh.
I just like the fact that he shoots out of his wrist.
I like
That's
these
just
wrists too. Like it became
Tobey
part of-
Maguire.
Tobey
Tobey
Maguire
Maguire.
style.
You guys can't do that.
what I like is when they use it as like a thing is like, oh, I can't buy any webbing or like stuff to make webbing because I don't have money, but I can't get pictures of Spider-Man because yeah. Just like that whole circle of
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
how it works together.
Yeah, I do think it creates like a cool way of like giving Spider-Man a disadvantage at times.
Right.
You know, not being able to use the cartridge or it's damaged or
Right.
you know.
He actually runs out of you can only produce
Yeah,
so much
he's
at
a
a
web
time
block
too.
and
So
Well,
sometimes he's
We even saw it in Spider-Girl.
He
You
gets
know,
in.
up against her dad. I'm out of web.
so. Any rumors with the Deadpool Wolverine thing?
I guess we didn't talk about the PSA
Yeah.
thing.
Oh yeah.
Were you able to hear it well last night?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just
It's-
turn off your phone's PSA that
Yeah.
someone recorded, which is funny. But yeah, not holding back seemingly like any curse words. It is censored, but like
You know what they're
Hugh
saying.
Jackman definitely drops like the F slur.
Oh, yeah.
100 times. Yeah, I mean, it's just
So-
amazing. I mean, this is Disney backed also, so they sort of soften their rules, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that it's coming from Disney though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Next,
like
you'll have tattoo characters in the park. I don't know.
saying like shit, fuck, whatever is
Yeah.
different, but dropping like an anti. I mean, at least it sounds like he calls him like the
yeah.
anti-gay F
Yeah.
slur.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I did see an interview with, Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds yesterday, where Ryan does say it's taken him, 20, 25 years to actually get to where they are now. And he's very, very happy with where Disney is, where they're comfortable with allowing such a hard R movie.
Yeah. No, I mean, Disney allowing this level of, I guess, adult content is pretty cool, in my opinion. So I wish we were doing this for a while, but
I know.
here we go.
But it still has hope for some of the TV shows still being a little bit edgy.
Even like something like Blade, which is getting rewritten again. But next up on the Deadpool and Wolverine countdown is X2. We finished X-Men 1, so making good progress. We got, like almost 10 weeks?
Yeah.
So,
We'll get there.
Just about.
yeah. This one's supposed to be pretty good, so I think it's the best of the trilogy, from what I've heard.
Okay. Yeah, not too
Have
bad.
you not seen it?
I have, just not in like 15
It's been a
years.
while.
Yeah. Subscribe to Cape Critiquers if you haven't already, and leave a like underneath this video because it really helps with how it performs in YouTube's algorithm. And if you don't like the video, James will have a sad birthday. So like the video.
Please like the
Yay.
video.
Please, please.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Fabulous, Helmet, fabulous.
You are a god among insects. Impossible!